Well, let's talk about this. A new push to refund the police as cities grapple with increased crime. The Oakland, California NAACP and a local church calling for a crime emergency to be declared. The group saying, quote, failed leadership, including the movement to defund the police, our district attorney's unwillingness to charge and prosecute people who murder, have created a heyday for Oakland criminals, end quote. The Oakland NAACP president telling NewsNation everyone is in danger there.
You can't go to the grocery stores. You can't put your groceries in your cars. You can't do anything. We had to say something. We was too quiet.
We were too quiet. The local district attorney's office says the group is pushing a, quote, false narrative. Let's bring in Vince Coglianese, radio host on WMAL, Washington, D.C., and civil rights and human rights attorney Robert Patillo. Robert, you know, the problem with crime in Oakland, it's not new. It's no secret it's become much worse. A jump in homicides, a jump in rapes, a jump in robberies, according to police. But there's been a lot of criticism about the defund the police movement. I did a little research. It looked like they debated defunding the police. Did that do damage? Just the conversations about taking away finances from police departments in cities like Oakland?
No, it's been the ridiculous talking point that has existed since 2020. Nobody has been talking seriously about defunding the police. It's been this conceptualization of reallocating resources to ensure that law enforcement is acting effectively. People have the right to both security from criminals and security from abuses from law enforcement. You should not have to sacrifice security in order to have freedom. That is the fundamental balance which our nation is founded upon, that conceptualization. And when we're talking about how exactly to address crime, we know how to do it. It's just a matter of implementing those things. If you talk about funding social services, providing educational system, giving job opportunities, cleaning up neighborhoods, those are the things that we know for a fact cut down communities. And I think this entire discussion about quote unquote defunding the police has been a canard to stop us from having to do the structural changes that are needed in order to bring down crime nationwide.
But there are very valid arguments that the conversations, words do matter, and there have been conversations about very, very progressive policies that are softer on criminals. There was one woman speaking in Oakland about the fact that locking people up wasn't going to help them, which, of course, you could argue is true. And nurturing criminals was what they really needed. Vince, it's been several years now since the defund movement actually hit its peak. But in hindsight, with the Oakland NAACP's request, does this prove that in some cases that defund and the conversations around defund actually hurt more than helped?
100%. 100%. The NAACP in Oakland is not advancing a canard. They're speaking to a very real concern that police were turned into the enemy across the country, and defunding the police meant taking away resources from the guys with the badges and the guns and the ability to actually address this crime and sending it somewhere else. It meant taking their money away. Look, this was put up for ballot referendums, for instance. In Minneapolis, the voters were asked to defund the police, and they voted against it. They said, no, we need to keep the cops. And that's because the victims here are these communities. So in Oakland, they're looking at this rise in violent crime, up some 7% or so. They've got a rise in burglaries, they have a rise in murder, and they need something done. And what they don't need is to lose the cops. And what they don't need is prosecutors who fail to prosecute crimes or hold people meaningfully accountable. So an example of that is the current district attorney for Oakland, Alameda County, is a woman called Pamela Price. She is this woman, she's one of these people who believes in so-called restorative justice or criminal justice reform. What that's meant in practice is that criminals are not facing meaningful consequences. You have triple murderers who are getting 15 years in prison, 7 years in prison. This is nothing. A 17-year-old who was involved in 3 murders recently will be out by the time he's 25, and the community is furious about this. The NAACP, I'm so proud to see them stand up. They're doing the right thing and standing up for the people of Oakland.
And Robert, obviously you and Vince are going to have different opinions on this here, but let's take this from this very hopeless situation, which it could feel like if you live in Oakland, California. I mean, I've seen videos. It looks like Armageddon on some blocks, not just from the crime, but from the homelessness issue. Is this story potentially evidence that people who are more conservative, people who are more liberal, can agree on something, and that perhaps we can all come to the table and come up with real solutions? What do you think, Robert?
I absolutely believe so. And this is the issue. You talked about the homelessness issue. When people are unhoused, when people don't have access to resources, that will ameliorating those problems is a lot more to cut crime than mass incarceration and locking people away for the remainder of their lives. And this idea that a conversation about defunding the police increases crime, President Trump has been running around the country for the last couple of years talking about defunding the FBI, defunding the Department of Justice, a two-tiered justice system, how they're slanted against you. The prosecutors are all corrupt. The whole system is corrupt. I don't see anybody saying that is leading towards more violence and crime on a federal level because it's not a sequitur that can be made. The conversation has to be about building up communities, not just about locking up more people.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.